Okay, guys, welcome back. Well, I tore down the mine completely down to the superstructure. I was having a plethora of problems. I overheated, melted my power supply unit. The other two graphics cards that I had weren't compatible. I had four. I had two 1050 Ti Azuses, and they are not compatible with my motherboard. So let's just start off from the very beginning. It's a teardown. I'm going to rebuild this. You don't need to know how to code computers or have any super duper extra ability to do anything. Heck, your girlfriend could do this. If she just watched my tutorials and Googled a couple of little simple things, she could build herself a Bitcoin mine. So you guys pay attention right now. All right, this is simple stuff. This is not really difficult. So let's just move ahead. Here we go. All right, so we just got the motherboard remounted again. I had to look at it and go through it and make sure it was okay. And we're just going to install that right now. All right, so first we're going to mount the board, and at the same time, we will add our ground wire from the motherboard and ground it to the chassis. We've got a little grip there from the wire. All right, so motherboard's mounted, ground wires hooked up. Let's go ahead and we're going to hook up now the start button. So I had a lot of problems building this mine. I went through a lot of growing pains. I learned an awful lot about parts that are compatible and things you need and things you don't need and whatnot. So okay, motherboard is attached to our superstructure. Ground is good. Start button is ready. We're ready to start mounting the rest of the hardware and get the rest of this architecture attached. All right, so let's move forward. Okay, so here's our power source. And but before I talk about that, if you're interested in knowing what kind of uh, motherboard this is, I mean, you can surf and do anything else that you need to do that you can do on any other uh, computer motherboard. But this one is really, it's primarily for cryptocurrency mining Bitcoin, so or Bitcoin related uh, cryptocurrencies. There's a plethora of coins that run that algorithm. So this is an Asus Prime Z390P. It's an LGA 300 series Intel. It's 6 gigabyte a second ATX Intel. It's 4 gigabyte of decoding. It has six PCIe slots that are USB 3.1 Generation 2 compatible. So that's really nice. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and mount the power supply. This power supply I bought secondhand. It's a brand new secondhand unit. So we're going to give it a go. So we're going to hook this up. So on this motherboard and this mining operation, there will be four primary power cords. So we're just going to go over that really quickly here. These are all tangled up for me. So the motherboard has a very large, square, flat connector. It's about 2.5 inches. We're going to connect that, and then we have the CPU connector. It's a 8 pin, and we have some extra power connectors here for externally running the GPUs, as well as some other power cords that are for running the USB, or sorry, the bus ports. So we're just doing a takeoff, and we're going to take the GPUs and we're not going to put them on the motherboard. It would be kind of foolish. They would overheat here, and uh, it would just be hot and dusty and really crowded. So we're going to put them up on top of the superstructure here and mount those. And we're just going to carry on here. So let's get this. Let's get the motherboard connected first. Okay, that's connected. Do the CPU next. All right. Okay, so because we're going to mount the GPUs on top, we're going to need an extra plate on the back here so that we can attach our GPUs and have our PCI Express systems running. And I had to make some cuts, slots in this bar here that supports this the GPUs on this superstructure, so that the USB cords and whatnot don't have any trouble. Okay, so we're just going to connect all that up. Careful, guys, you don't drop stuff like I'm doing. If that hits a motherboard, it's not good stuff. So it's good to have maybe a towel or something over top. I was not putting one right on there right now, but it's kind of a good idea. It's always a good practice to protect your electronics. You know. All right, so we're almost there now. So next we're going to mount our GPUs and our PCI Express components. And we'll get kind of difficult there. All right. So our support bracket for our GPUs is in place. Let's just go ahead and let's just review these and let's talk about this. All right, so this is our PCI Express kit. It comes with a USB adapters and the card slot here, and this is the PCI Express slot that acts as the bus on the motherboard, because on the motherboard we only have two large ports, which I'm showing you right now, and and that's these two right here. And then of course we have these other ports right here, but they're smaller, so they're only really good for us to use with this type of a card and stuff. So we're going to do that. So let's just go ahead and we'll get that under control now. Sorry guys, flipping around a little bit there. All right, so hopefully we got that half decent on there now. All right, so we are now going to mount our GPUs. So we're going to take this graphical processing unit here, and we need to add the PCI slots on there. So that's what we're going to do right now. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to add this on here. And then there's a little safety to stop the card from falling off of the PCI Express bus here. So make sure you do that right. Okay, so we're going to mount this now. Let's just bring it over and see what it's going to look like over here. I guess while we're doing that, we should probably put on the USB cord on there before it gets too difficult to work with in that area. So we're going to just go ahead and put on our trusty USB. All right, so just going to mount this back up on here. Cut some slots in that slide bar so that doesn't affect our cords and our connectors. It's really important. All right. Okay, so first GPU is mounted. All the cording is just about all connected. We still have another extra power cord we're going to connect, and we're going to talk about that in a second here. So, but first, we're going to connect this in. There we go. And just going to kind of twist it so that the wiring doesn't get a chance to connect and contact the fan on the CPU or anything like that. That would be kind of catastrophic. So okay, so we're going to mount our next GPU, and with that, I said we're going to move this one down. I'm going to give them a lot of space. I want them to be cool. I want them to run really good. I'm that kind of guy. You know, I'm never satisfied with the status quo of things. You know, I really like things to work extremely well. So let's just mount this up, and let's just find a way for that to fit in better. Let's put the screwdriver down to start with. So get all our wires into our slotting areas. let's get our screw here off. All right, so just about there. All right, so card number 1 is mounted. We're going to go ahead and we're going to attach our next card. This is a bigger card. You've probably seen that before in previous tutorials that I've got this card on this unit. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach the PCI Express and go ahead and hook up the rest of the connectors and wiring to the architecture of this and mount it to the superstructure. All right, so same thing as the last card. We have to make sure that we line up our we want to make sure that we don't damage this and that we get this card on there correctly and that we put this clip on right. So let's just go ahead and we're going to do that right now. Okay, so that's locked on there now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to attach our USB to the bottom of our slot on our card. Okay, we're going to mount our GPU now, and with any luck, it should mount up there, and everything should line up relatively nicely. The cards have a lot of space in between them right here, and I want you to kind of see that too. We want to get some space in between the cards. We want them to run cool, right? We want the motherboard and the CPU to run really cool. We want it to do its job, right? And we just want to mine Bitcoin. That's all we want to do. Just mine all this Bitcoin. Okay, so we're going to hook up now our next card. There we go. So that card is now mounted. We have one more power wire that we're going to hook up to the back of our GPUs now, and we're going to just take care of that right now. So looking at the back of the mine, we are now, we have 2 more power wires to connect to get these GPUs running. Oh, it looks like I got to mount that one a little closer because these ones have a closer connection. All right, so one sec while we move this down to its new temporary home over here. All right, so everything's looking good. We're now going to mount these electrical connectors onto our GPUs and get them running properly. Okay, so here we go. So that's one. Okay, so time to take a little look at this a little closer. Okay, so that one goes to the top and that one to the bottom. Okay, so these connectors, they have a really particular way of going on, and you really have to pay attention to the way that these connectors go on. So we're just going to take a moment, make sure we line that up totally correct. Okay, those are connected. Those look really good. Just gonna. Okay, so we're looking good. Those are all connected there. This one has a particularly bigger one. It has an 8-pin on that one, and yeah, it's just there's a lot of connections. So we still have more connections. We have to connect up these because they're not on the motherboard. So now we need to get our main power via the PSU. So we're going to hook that up now. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. And make sure that we connect these correctly. Okay, so that will conclude our other connectors. And now we're just going to tidy up the wiring. And after doing that, then we're going to bring it over to its spot and plug it in and give it a test run again and make sure that everything is running within the proximity that we're talking about. You know what I mean? So, okay, so didn't take much. I'm not sure how long that was, probably 15 minutes or 20 minutes, but anybody can build a Bitcoin mine. You don't need a lot of technical experience or whatnot. You just really need to want to do it. That's really that all it boils down to. You know, how does anybody do anything? Well, they just do it. You know, so if you think you can't do it, well, you're vibrating on the wrong frequency. So go ahead, tackle this. You can do this. Hit me up if you have any problems. You know, there shouldn't be any big problems. They're all just snap together components, and then from there you can go talk to your computer guy, help you configure it, and you'll be making Bitcoin. All right. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial, and stick around. We'll get this thing running and see what it's doing. Okay.